always been kind of like a four-wheel drive nut, you know. It's probably one of the wildest rides that you'll ever take, you know. If you can think of your best roller coaster amusement park, this ride is 10 times better than that roller coaster. It's fun, but boy, it's a lot of work. You got that right.
And there's a look at Predator getting ready to take on Cyborg. As you heard him say, this is a roller coaster ride. Well, they're getting that big-time ride here in the Superdome.
Getting ready with Jack Coburna coming out now in the Dodge. Again, we've got to keep an eye on Coburna. He doesn't have the horsepower the other trucks do, but as Paul Shaver mentioned a moment ago, there's a lot of driver involved in this truck, not horsepower.
And there's Alan Pizzo and Predator, who we just heard from. And this first-round battle is underway.
Great hole shot right there by Predator. He's got a nice lead into the turn, but hey, looks like he's stalled.
Yeah, Predator is stalled, and that means that Cyborg over the cars and through, and Cyborg will advance on here in the first round.
That's why you run the race. On paper, this one should have been all Predator, but Cyborg, Jack Coburna, just comes out. He does his thing. He runs it smooth. He runs it smart, and he's able to complete the course. Predator, something goes wrong in the turn.
Yeah, we looked, and he just came to a stop, and let's see if Dan Moriarty knows what's going on down on the arena floor.
Jack, first round's down. Why is Cyborg holding it so well out there?
Well, with the two-wheel drive system we got, we come into the corner, not having a locker in the rear, so the tires will give a little bit. The front end dips down, so we got a pretty good chance in corners to catch up.
What it looks like you have is when you hit that corner, because everyone else is such a hairpin turn, you got one tire going one way, one tire going the other way, and you're pulling out of it very smooth.
Yeah, well, it's the locker rear end. It's just going to spin and you're going to lift up. This way, with coming into it hard and back spinning it, it's giving me that traction. I need to get around the corner and slide into it.
When you got here and you saw the track, did you say this track is built for Cyborg?
Yeah, I love turning courses. This is my tracks.
You look good in the first round.
Well, I sure appreciate it. Thank you.
Keep going, Jack.
All right. Thanks a lot.
All right, Cyborg a winner. We'll see what else happens here in the first round. A lot more monster truck action coming your way. Time now for a United States Hot Rod Association update. Let's go north of the border to Canada, Toronto.
In the Sky Dome, Toasaurus Rex and Executioner squaring off early second-round action, and the Executioner looking hot on this cold night in Toronto.
Hey, and a little freestyle activity with Rambo and Avenger. I love it when these guys go freestyling, getting some air. Look at Rambo.
Oh, Willie Weaver's been at this game a long time. Then they got to the final. Gravedigger and Executioner. Boy, they came right down to the wire, crossed together, as you could see, but Gravedigger with just a nose in front. And then it was freestyle time.
I have freestyle again and doing some of those 360s, getting a little air. Hey, is there a better freestyle around than Digger? Not many can do that.
And the fans love it in Toronto, and I tell you what, everybody loves when you get a 10,000-pound donut. Now, Gunslinger's been hot recently, and he won last time out in San Antonio and Indianapolis.
Had a win in San Antonio, had a win in Indianapolis. We'll see what he can do here in New Orleans. Gunslinger going up against Samson. Scott, do you think Samson has anything for Gunslinger here tonight?
Dan Patrick's going to be in every race anytime he races unless he has breakage. He has some of the best equipment, one of the most talented drivers in the business. But you cannot take away the fact that Scott Hartsock is the hottest gun on the circuit right now. He is red hot.
And there you see him, and I think the crowd here at the Superdome knows it. Scott Hartsock in that Ford. Been in this business 6 years. It's a relatively short time, but he is very, very talented.
You know, the Chevy-powered trucks and the Chevy machines have been dominant of late, and I know a lot of Ford fans are really, really getting a kick out of seeing Gunslinger rising to the top against these guys. But here's Dan Patrick, another GM product, that 898 Chevrolet with a big block engine.
Boy, for a first-round matchup, this is going to be quite a battle here. Samson and Gunslingers, both trucks are ready to go on this U-turn course, and we'll see who can get the hole shot. That seems to have been pretty important here, too, because it is such a driver track. As we've heard drivers say, it's not so much horsepower. a lot of driver involved in this track here in New Orleans.
Could be another track, though, where Gunslinger's turning ability might be an advantage. He's got a great start, though. Actually, a slight lead on Samson early on.
Boy, you are right. Look at that turn. Gunslinger, a great job making the turn, and it's going to be Gunslinger.
And he won it on the turn. Just so smooth through the turn, and by that time, Dan Patrick just had to try and give it everything he had, but it was too late. What a great, smooth run by the hottest man in monster truck racing, Gunslinger. Let's look at Samson right here, though. He got out of the hole pretty well. It's the turn that bogged him down. Actually got off on the concrete. You don't want to do that. That'll cost you some time.
Well, let's see what happened with Dan Patrick with our man, Dan Moriarty.
Man, what's the track like?
It's very tacky. It's a horsepower track, and it's going to make it kind of tough, you know, for guys with big motors. We got off on the concrete. Concrete makes it really bad. So it can be a fast track. We're not real crazy about the ramp on the last set of cars. I mean, you got to hit at pretty good speed. So, I mean, it's kind of a treacherous track. It's a thinking track.
I mean, you qualified out of that round even though you came in second place in your heat. What did that do to you for the next round mentally?
Doesn't really do much for me because each time I go out and run, I'm actually racing myself. If I beat the guy, great. If I don't, I mean, that's, you know, because I kind of pace on what I do. And if I got to run Digger, which will be a tough round, and we beat him before, and he's beat us before, but I'm just going to give it the same thing I did with Fast the last time, but hopefully keep it on the track.
And what do you think you take from that last round because of the track, and now you know what you've got to do to overcome it? What can you bring to the next round to try and beat Gravedigger?
What I'll do is I'll hug more to the inside of the track. I went wide there, and it put me too wide or too short on the last jump, so I had to overcompensate. So what I'll do is I'll try to base my turn to where it's a good, clean turn, and I go straight to the cars.
Always a favorite, Dan Patrick. We'll be watching for you, Dan. Good luck, man. Keep it up.
All right, thanks, Dan. And we'll take a look at more replays from that last one. And Gunslinger,
Yes,
making that turn.
Indeed, in the turn, Mike, it was just perfect, and that got him the win.
Let's hear from Scott Hartsock now.
You got a lot of mojo going your way lately, don't you?
Hey, we do. You know, if we can put these big trucks down like we're doing tonight, you know, so far, this is a hell of a tacky track out here, you know. You got to go down here and feather it in that corner, and you can just feel the truck grab the ground, and it just like wants to suck it down there, too. We put the mega power down right there in the corner, jump them set of cars, put Big Samson out. Hey, he's tough. You know, he ain't nobody to lay down for. I don't know who we got next round, but we're going to take it one step at a time. We're glad we got a set of head gaskets in this motor that are holding up right now, so all we can do is go out there and cock lock and ready to rock these boys.
Well, Samson will move on to the next round because of the fast qualifier. There's Bustin' Loose, driven by Ron Nelson out of Conroe, Texas. Let's learn a little more about him.
I got a pretty good story on that.
It seems that Bustin' Loose driver Ron Nelson is full of stories to tell.
I met my wife about 16 years ago, and she went to school with a guy that actually was doing the business. He was just when the business was just getting started. A couple years later, me and him got together and built this truck. 7 years later, here we are. I got a pretty good story on that. It's my first original. It's the only one I've owned, and it's the one I've started in. It cost me right at $100,000 to run this truck, and that's counting the semi, the fuel, the tires. That ain't counting blowed money.
So how does a family man
She's got a full-time at home, and we got 2 kids.
keep up with the grueling schedule that is required to run on the monster circuit?
I got a pretty good story on that. This story on that. This story on that. It's tough. We left Monday afternoon and pulled in Thursday morning by myself, 1,800 miles across the United States to get there, across the snow and all the mountains and everything. It's tough. It's tough on a man.
So what drives Ron to keep up this kind of pace?
I like flying through the air, actually getting something that heavy and fly 15 cars, 150 feet, 5 cars, whatever we got at the shows. I'm usually the underdog. And the challenge to beat the guys that are on top, knock them off their podium. And that's what I'm here to do. I love it.
Well, you talk about underdog, he's got to go up against Gravedigger in the first round. He will be an underdog, but we'll have that race coming up next.